I'll show you some of the canvases that I'm talking about. So that one that's the Higgins whale. So it's like a landing craft that I turned into a whale, and then I have the 30 caliber machine gun mosquitoes. So I took the mosquito's nose and made it into a machine gun, and then did all the crazy line work in the water and whatnot. And then that is the mosquito. That's the MG42 mosquito. So that's the German side, and then obviously the 30 cal was the American side. So I did this almost like insignia style, like this would go on the side of a tank or be a badge for a unit. So the mosquito, you really get into that detail, or you see his head basically just the machine gun grows out of it and then goes in, and his main body is just this ball of armor, and then it goes down into where maybe the bullets are produced, and then he's got his skull and whatnot. So this was a finished piece that I streamed on Twitch a couple weeks ago. But this will be part of that same painting with the whale and whatnot. And move my keyboard real quick. I'm just going to put that up there. And now, just hopping around and working on something for a specific concert. I'll put that level with the camera so you guys can see that detail. And I'm thinking, I like the idea of like teals and blues for the slugs. So maybe we'll start, because they each have like a little tummy area down here. So I might use the teal on the bottom and maybe the bright green on top. I have a lime green that I really like. And hang on one second. Let me. I hate to do this. I hate to send a text while I'm streaming, but business calls. But basically, he's asking me what art to use on what products, and I have to figure that out. But I'm trying to think too. If I have these Venus flytraps coming down, I don't want to use the same type of green and have it blended in. So I think the flytraps will be a little bit darker, and then we're going to go with super neon for the snails, almost like what you more see in nature, like kind of shows of color and whatnot. So we're going to go to the trusty PBR lunchbox here. PBR was one of my sponsors for years, so I have all sorts of cool shit from them. I do have the PBR golf shorts that Bill Murray wore on his tournament a couple years ago, and they're pretty rad. All right, but now that lunchbox is my paint holder, so we're going to go with this green, and then I have one of my favorite colors to use is this teal, which I used in a lot of the water or whatnot. So yeah, let's go ahead and drop these snails in, and then maybe we'll start detailing the hat. I haven't figured out what I want to do with the hat yet. I might maybe add a couple of little patches or whatnot. If you look at the image slideshow, there's the honey hatter, the Mad Hatter with the honeycomb. It's got a really patchy hat, and I kind of like that feel. And there's no reason we can't add a few darker patches onto this hat to make it look, he's the devil. His hat's old, He's probably made a few repairs to it. And then we'll put this green, pop that in. You can see how those look next to each other. Really nice. All right, so let's grab a brush. And we'll go right into that lime green. Yeah, we're going to put that on top. And we may add a few spots and whatnot to them. So, these are Liquitex basics. So Liquitex paints and Holbein, Holbein for the. There goes the music for the ink. So what do we got? Liquitex paint, and then I'll put it in chat. Holbein is the ink. There you go. And I know there's a place, Dick Blick Art Supplies online, although their shipping sucks. It takes so long to get something from them, or they want to, their shipping sucks. I didn't say they suck. But we'll work on that sponsorship, and when it falls through, they suck. And Amazon. There's a place I order on Amazon. I'll put it in my gear list so I get a 12-cent cut on every bottle. Yes. So I like that green. That green will come back and we'll shade out the greens too and really bring these, set them back, and then this skull will really pop out. So yeah, for sure. And brush wise, I use the biggest pieces of shit on earth. I have no particular love for any brush as long as the hairs aren't falling out. I'll use the Michaels specials because I can achieve the same results. I don't need a $90 brush, and I do a lot of dry brushing on canvas, which destroys the brush pretty quickly. So I don't like to invest a lot of money in the paint brushes themselves. So. And that may sound wasteful, but at the same time, I've bought nice brushes before thinking, oh, they'll be able to handle it, and they just cannot handle the brutality. So it's even more wasteful because it wastes money as well. But yeah, decent, just decent. Don't buy the big like jars of 50 brushes that they use in the kindergarten, class. But the variety packs or whatnot. I think this was 2 different variety packs, for all my brushes, and that was enough. That gets me all the flats and rounds that I need. Yeah, especially when starting out, and you will leave that brush in the paint one day. You'll buy that nice brush, and you'll paint, and you'll forget about it, or you'll have a beer too many, and you'll wake up, and that shit it'll be dry like a cement. And you'll be like, damn it. But one little trick, hand sanitizer can help loosen up acrylic paint. Because this basically turns to plastic when it's, when it's dry. But hand sanitizer, my buddy taught me this trick, and it's worked a few times, and actually cleaned off the brush and revived it. No shit, yeah. There's always some little life hack out there, And it's funny how I'm sure I could go online. I mean, that's a trick I learned years ago, but if I were to look up, like, cleaning paintbrush hacks, like nowadays, I'm sure there's, like, thousands of them out there. But, I'm in my early 40s. I'm starting to get into that stubborn phase where I'm like, I know. I'm not changing, damn it. But I'm sure there's a million different ways. But, yeah, hand sanitizer has definitely worked for me. I could feel it in me already. My ways aren't changing. No, I'm always open to new. If there's an easier way or a better way or a way to save these brushes, or the problem is it's not really the cleaning of the brush for me. It's repetitive over this canvas because I don't prime my canvases like 5 or 6 times to get it glass smooth. Like I like this texture. Like if you zoom in, let's zoom in as much as we can. Like you can see like how that texture plays, and you can see a little bit of the white showing through, and all that stylistically is, that's part of my style. So, but just the repetitiveness of the brush, on the canvas will naturally piss off the brush. I love the textures, all about grit. I never really got into like a lot of lowbrow art, or where cotton candy and brick all have the same texture. I like drips, splatters, splashes, texture, like using the canvas, using the brush. All to add to the experience of the viewer. Let me make sure I don't hit his belly area. Wouldn't be the end of the world, but did I leave his up? Yeah, okay. Clap, clap, clap. Yay, sugar. Time for a pipe and a crepe? Oh, it is time for another milk chocolate truffle, maybe. 30 milligrams, never hurt anybody. If not, if this is your third one. Oh, okay. Gotcha. The gimp just gave you heavy metal horns. I wish my devil emote would, man, I can't wait to get that approved. I got some pretty cool emotes coming for subscribers, so it'll be a whole series of like this guy, like one with his tongue out, one drinking a beer, one with his, you know, I don't know, one saying fuck you, or I want to do one that says ruined and then go use it on the Bob Ross channel, since everybody just screams that out all the time when he goes and puts a mountain in or throws a tree. That would be awesome. Yeah, found a guy on Fiverr. I've never designed an emote. I don't have time for that shit. But I wanted to get some, so I'm like, and I wanted some cool ones. So he developed a sub badge first. So which I didn't know you couldn't do until you're partner. So I'm like, all right, well, I at least got a sub badge, but I had him convert it into an emote. There we go. Yeah, so you can already see how that lime green is affecting, you know, how it pops out as opposed to like this side. So really gives it some zest, zestfully clean. There we go. And yeah, so just scrubbing in the color, then we'll go in, we'll shade it, we'll get out a even finer line brush and drop in some darker color around the folds of the snail, and then touch it back up with the final line work, which will just make it look like these just gnarly, twisted little slugs. So we can go slug. It could be a snail, I guess like a four-headed snail, and that could be the shell. I'll let you guys decide. I'm not leaning one particular way or another. Well, that's cool. Alright. That green on. Excuse me. And yeah, for the Venus flytraps, we'll just go in with a darker green. I've got all sorts of lighter greens. Here's our that's a deep green. Where is it? There's our favorite. See if you can see that. Where's the camera? Hooker's green. A very special green developed by streetwalkers for streetwalkers. In case they just want to bust their paints out. I'm assuming that's... I'll have to look that up. There's got to be a good story why that's called that. It's probably some poor sap's last name, but you never know. There we go. And one more. I like this guy. He's just kind of like, these other guys are, and then he's like, whoa. What the hell's over here? Yeah, bring his belly up more. There we go. I kind of, if it gets on the black, like I said, I'll go over all that again towards the end, touch it up and whatnot. So, cool, honey. Thank you so much for hanging out. Have a nice snooze. And, yeah, You know my schedule. I'll be on, tomorrow I will not be on, though. It is 4th of July. I got a party and a bunch of family stuff to do. So I will try and do an extra long stream on Thursday. But if you guys are celebrating the 4th in any kind of style, have fun. Blow some shit up. Eat some hot dogs and hamburglers and wave some sparklers around and whatever else goes on. But yeah, if I do not finish this painting tonight, which I probably won't, I'll go ahead and knock it out on Thursday. So I appreciate everyone hanging out. A little bit of that pink was still on the brush, but that's okay. I like when some of the other colors, you know, it's like if I hit the brush hard like that, you can see like a little bit of that red maybe gets in there. That's all right. You just kind of blend it in, and sometimes it, you know, especially when you're doing organic things, it gives it that feeling like there's something going on underneath the skin, like the variations in our own flesh, and like there is blood underneath there. Or it basically comes down to I have an excuse for everything, no matter what happens on this painting. I'll tell you something. But that's art in itself, right? There we go. That's what makes it fun and keeps it less stressful. People stress over their art so much. Like, oh my God, I fucked it up. I got to get this line in. It's like, you know what? If it works and it looks good and maybe it's not, just come up with a cool story to justify it. It's like the opposite of you know, some people have these 32-word titles for their paintings to explain what they couldn't paint. And I'm like, I don't get that. That's kind of weird. For me, it's like, well, something happens. Here's the story. Sure, if the painting's finished and it looks cool, does it matter? There we go. I was just thinking, I love heroes artists justify their fuck ups. Exactly, dude. It's gonna happen, you know. But I used to say, like, that's why I have a splattery style, or I just throw shit on the canvas. It's like, I can't fuck up, you know, like, oh yeah, I meant that, you know. There was a painting I did called Gypsy Romeo's Sexual Obscenity, and it was a label for my buddy's absinthe. He distills a 180 proof orange absinthe in his garage in San Diego, and I did the label for it, and I was painting it, and it's basically it's the backside of a naked lady leaning up against a bunch of crates of wormwood, and then her hair. The painting was 4 feet by 2 feet. So there's about 3 feet of hair, and it had the logo written in bone. And then I was live painting it, and I fell, and all the ink flew up on the canvas and just started dripping down. But it hit it in such a way that it almost looked like it was like the top of the lettering. So I basically blended all that shit into the top of the lettering and let the streaks stay, and then added a few more whatever, and then it just became part of the painting. And I was like, done deal. And nobody's ever asked about it. Nobody's ever, they just, oh, that's really cool. You do a little, you know, that must have took some confidence to like throw that ink up there. I'm like, no, it just took raw stupidity and clumsiness. And, you know, I was using it as a drop cloth, one of those really slick tablecloths that you see at a wedding, you know, like the black tablecloths, but it had no traction, and I stepped on it and just whoop, lost my shit. And I'm like, you know, it happens. It just happens. All right, I'm going to blend in a little bit of this teal here and hit it with a touch of water, you know. But I also think that's a very big part of being a professional, is being able to work, obviously work with what you have, but, you know, and especially with the live painting game, it's so random. And you are in a pretty hyper environment, so you never know what's going to happen, and you never know what's going to inspire the direction of the painting. You know, that's a whole other animal. Now, if it's a studio painting and I have a very specific path that I wanted to take, that probably would have been a disaster. You know, I've done paintings. That one behind me with the girl and the bullets and all that. I mean, that I spent hours getting the girl painted and getting the machine gun. It's a Madus. It's a 50 caliber machine gun, and the bullets are coming out of an apple pie she baked. And I'm like, in fact, I think it's on the stream, the image stream. But those bullets, I completely screwed up the first time I painted them, and I buffed them out. They just didn't look right. And I put it in the closet for a year and a half. I was like, I'm not painting these damn bullets. And then finally, I was just like, you know, I got to have some new art for tour. And I had the painting, and I was, you know, a deadline, and there's a lot more that goes into tour, obviously, than just painting a few things and throwing them in the back of the car and driving away. But so at that point, I was like, man, I got to get something new. And I was like, all right, I got to draw these bullets. And just forced myself to come up with a stylistic way to draw the bullets that made it work. Yeah, it just popped up on my side. Might be a delay for you guys, or so sometimes even it may not even be a mess up. Yeah, it may just be like it didn't turn out right, and I'll come back to it. And we're just going to kind of take a little bit of this, like a little bit of shadow, almost like we're doing clouds. But it gives that kind of ruddiness of the skin, because they have that slimy kind of translucent top coat. When I zoom in, you'll be able to see it a lot better. There we go. All right. Yeah, just adding little shadows, even tucking a shadow underneath this Venus flytrap here, and starting to think about the, you know, how close or far that is. But again, just kind of swirling some colors, and there we go. And then for him, I can go straight into the blue, and we'll drop his belly in so we can see what this thing will look like with its all its colors on. And you see, I like colorful. I like to see this kind of color in nature. We got these huge bright yellow banana slugs up here in Washington, but a lot of them have this crazy like brown that kind of weaves through it, and it almost reminds me of like a stretched out eyeball. Like when you look at whatever the color, what is it, the iris? Is that the color part of the eyeball? I'm an artist, not a doctor. But, you know, it looks like that. Like they peeled a bunch of eyeballs open and flattened them. There we go. So you can see, and that color is working, you know, it's working nice with this. It's a nice high contrast to the devil. Drop this guy's tummy in. And I think I'm going to use some blacklight reactive paint on the eyeballs, so that way when you hit it with a blacklight, it'll glow. It'll be a clear coat. I have a clear paint that you paint over, and then it glows blue when you hit it with the blacklight. I got a few paintings out on my Instagram. There's actually bourbon barrels. Let me grab so a few of these. I have these 2-liter bourbon barrels that I custom paint. And I have a Cheshire, and I have one online that's like a Kraken, kind of intriguing, this fish. And it's all blacklight reactive. But I think for the Cheshire, there's a little slideshow that'll show you like what it looks like in daylight, and then what it looks like when you hit it with the blacklight. But I like experimenting with that. There we go. And again, if any of you guys are artists or you have a link or something you want to throw in chat, feel free. I have no problem with people, you know, putting their website up and promoting their art and showing it off to the other viewers. All about the cross promotion. I know the Gimp's saying, man, I am going to go out and paint so I can drop that fucking link in his chat. And I can't wait till you do. But yeah, I've got everything from cross-stitch artists to bead artists to painters. I've met the full run just in my first couple weeks, you know. And I'll tell you, I follow a couple people that paint the figures for like World of Warcraft and or Warhammer, or do a bunch of just cool special effects sculptures of creatures' heads, and I love watching that stuff. My wife actually just started sculpting in polystyrene, and we did our first. We took this little alien character I developed called Mika Lobio. He's actually in the Vera painting behind me, the space aliens that she's fighting. And we did some 3D versions that hang off the front of my booth at the rock shows, and that stuff's pretty gnarly to work with. I mean, but she did an awesome job. And then I go in and paint it and seal it. And I think no, that's a little bit wet. Okay, so let's, you know what? I always have a toothbrush hanging around. I think we may explore, and this will throw a little bit of black on a little bit of grit on the canvas as well. But we dip it in water, and we're going to hit the bottom of the snail with this. And maybe we'll get some texture. I think maybe on that snail I let it dry too little, but let's see what we can pull out of this. Oh, we got a little bit right there. Okay. Yeah, so we'll get, and the toothbrush just gives you a finer texture. And then I just leave, you know, the gray, whatever else, little splatters, just adds to it. Just a little bit of, what do they call it in New Orleans? Lagniappe. And let's get, let's go into this brighter green. Man, I put way too much paint on this thing. I always have a horrible time with like, oh, I only need like a little bit of paint, and then half a tube later, and another trip to the store because I ran out of that color. Yeah, sugar's got it going. There we go. Yeah, I like that. So we're going with that green, and we'll add the, as far as the shadowing up underneath the skull here. And then we'll bring it down. And as you can see, some of the splatter from the toothbrush is still wet, so it'll work its way into the paint, and you'll get kind of this grayish green too that'll, you know. Let me zoom in. I feel like this isn't, whoops, maybe not that far. Okay, there we go. You can see a little bit of the shading better. And there we go. Use your thumb to do a little shading. Why not? And then we'll tuck a little green up here where he twists again. And basically just kind of sawing that color in. There we go. Just kind of hit the end there. And then we'll get the bottom of that. I gotta look up the official term for this thing. Antenna. I don't know if that's what it is, or slimy, weird looking protrusion. I'm sure it's got a different name than antenna. You know how scientists are, they always get into arguments about, oh, it's not that, it's this. And then this one obviously is in the background. We'll leave a little bit of a highlight, but I'll hit it. Maybe hit it with some white. We'll see if it even needs it, but there we go. And just one more there. We'll tuck it up there. And we got the shadow on the first one. Make sure we got it back there. And then we'll go in and do all the line work. So I'll shade out these first two, and I'll do the line work on them. Just to show you guys what the final snail. Eye stalks. I've heard that. Okay. Google says retractable tentacles are just eye stalks, and they apparently smell with them too. Neat. There you go. See? No dumb art here. You are all going to look at slugs now and be like, wow. You're going to be standing with somebody. You're going to be drinking a beer. You're just going to be hanging out. And then you're going to look down. There's going to be a snail. And you'll be like, did you know they smell with them things? And they're going to be like, holy shit, you're smart. This is how useless knowledge gets spread. In fact, I'm going to use it tomorrow at the 4th of July barbecue. Because I know we're going to see some slugs crawling around. And I'll bring it up like, look, his eye stalks are out. There must be something, he must be smelling something delicious. And they'll be like, what are you talking about? Well, if you didn't know, a slug uses eye stalks for smelling. These are how pseudo-intellectuals are born. It starts with eye stalks. But thank you for looking that up too, Gim. Because I'm sure that would fall under the same category or the same, of me trying to remember to order the Holbein ink. I'll have the good intention of looking that up while I'm streaming and talking to you guys about it, and then once the stream's done, I'll be like, what?
That shit's crazy.
Yeah. That song's crazy?
Yeah.
I like it. That's very cool. It is. It's very...
Well, this is the tune I'm working on for fucking time-lapse.
Nice.
It's the right.
I was going to say, if you're working... I was like, yeah, blah, blah, who... okay, if it's too good, it's a Reichenfunk song. Because you were occupied. Yeah. Yeah, I'll try not to stop and Google shit while I'm painting. There we go. Get a little shadow down there. Yeah, these guys are kind of coming out. You know, it's funny, now that I dropped the green on, this almost looks like, what's his name? Like Mike Kowalski or whatever it is from Monsters Incorporated, like trying to like reach out from this phallic thing in his head. Get sued by Pixar. Be like, really? Are you sure I'm ripping you off?
Reaching out to the phallic thing in my head.
Yes. I mean, he's already like a giant testicle, you know. So we'll get the shadow underneath the teeth here with the green. Huh? Oh. You got it pulled up?
Yeah.
It looks good on screen? Yeah. Oh, it's cool looking. It's crazy looking. I dig it.
I just wish I could see it full screen, you know? Like.
Well, I'm zoomed in right now.
No, I know, but I mean on this thing.
Oh.
I could just go click and then just go to my whole screen, but that's not how the app works.
Yeah, the Twitch app is
Shit.
it's shit. Like, I'm wondering how I'm gonna stream online, like while I'm on the road. We're gonna have to figure that one out, but
Yeah.
because I'm on the road for 2 months at the end of the year, and I don't want to like lose everyone, but I do want to do some on the road streaming because I think it'll be a different aspect. Yeah, but when I'm on the road, it'd be nice to be able to stream and kind of show people like what it's like to tour and different ways to get your artwork out there and whatnot. So, and that's where all the weirdos are that we meet. So we gotta stream these interesting people we meet on the road. So we'll get it worked out. It's just the problem is at the rock show, it's tough because it's Wi-Fi, cellular. There's 150,000 people there, so no one. I can barely run credit cards, and I haven't established a Wi-Fi relationship with the promoter yet. But I'm trying. I've looked into suitcase units and units that use like dual modems and all that stuff. So there are some solutions out there. I know there are because they do stream major concerts. And this one we are actually just going to put the dark green here, and I will go back and add the white highlight. Yeah, road trip weirdos. You know it. And we do meet some, and I'll tell you, man, it's the best. Like, I don't think there's a better way to sell art than to get out there and do festivals and whatnot. Selling directly to the people. I haven't done anything, and I've done just about everything as far as selling art that has been more lucrative and better. And I do reach a sizable crowd that doesn't use social media, that doesn't care. They're, a lot of them are just blue collar guys that go out, work, come back. They got family, but they dig art, and they, so I have a huge following on the road. I have kind of a weird situation where I may have 20,000 people combined over all my social networks following me, but many more, on the road. So it's cool, and we have this relationship that once a year I come out and I show them all the new stuff, and we have a beer and watch some music, and it's a really cool time. And for a lot of these people, it's their vacation. So when they announce that lineup in November for a show in May, I mean, I'll get tons of emails in November, like, hey, they just announced the lineup for Rock on the Range, or you're going to be there, right? Because we're going to save up some money and buy some art this year. And I'm like, I most certainly will, and let me know what you're looking forward to, or what are you into? You like sea life or something? And maybe I'll do a special painting that kind of is in line with what their tastes are, and then that way it's even more special for them to show up and see some new artwork and be like, oh damn, we're into devils with slugs in their mouths. How did you know? The devil told me. Me too. Yeah. Are you part of devilswithslugsinhismouth.com? It's a dating service. And when I say road trip weirdos, I probably mean myself. But we have a good crew. I have a good crew that works with me at the booth too, and we have a humdinger of a time. So. Humdinger. All right, we have to do it. We have to go into the hooker's green.
Always.
I cannot have that paint laying around and not use it. Hashtag same. All right. Yes, we'll go with one more layer of green for the darkety darks, super darks, right before we do the, oh, I was supposed to do the line work on two snails before, anyway. There we go. Just a really dark shade of dark to really tuck that back. Tuck it. There we go. Yep. Alright, yeah. That right up under there. Alright. Hooker's green. And I like how it's possessive. It's not hooker green. It's not like a tribute. Yeah. It is their goddamn green. There we go. Ooh, I like that. I like that. I like that weird kind of galloping synth. Old KMFDM. There we go. And yeah, you know, use the screen for the more dark, just right around the skull, because I will be using a lot of the black ink, and that'll take care of what's up front. So let's jump into some ink, and and then you'll be like, oh God, I can't get it off my skin. My friend did that once in Pittsburgh. I'm sitting there at a coffee shop, and I'm inking, I'm working on my comic, and he's sitting there fucking with the ink, and I'm like, don't spill it, dude. Like, that will go through your clothes. And sure enough, the cap, I even told him the cap was loose. All over his crotch, his pants, everything. I'm like, you might want to go to the bathroom. And he came back out, and he's like, my dick's black. And I'm like, I told you. I'm like, this ink is no joke. I mean, even when I ink, it takes a day or two to get off my hands. I'm like, it's a great ink, but it is very unforgiving, you know. Very, very unforgiving. Hey, where are the Michelobio sculptures? Are they in the motorhome, like up on the bed?
They're in the motorhome or under there.
Oh, okay.
But more likely in the motorhome.
Yeah. Just wondering if you knew offhand.
I don't.
Thursday, I'm going to pull one out. I'll show you guys one of the first hand-cast resin-poured or hand-poured resin figures that I did. I've got one of them painted up in there. So starting to get into doing, you know, character designs, bringing these guys to life, you know. Eventually animation, movies, whatever. I just personally don't have the patience for animation. That is a special kind of insanity that I am just not willing to indulge in. So just going around the teeth, really getting in those dark shadows, and then we'll start pulling these lines down that will form the just how kind of juicy and folded and kind of like yeah, squishy. And I do the same with tree trunks. I like kind of making them look like they turned as they grew. Because it's just that nice, really gnarled looking effect, and especially on tree bark. And the key to these super thin lines, you want to dip it in the ink and then just kind of blot it on a rag. Just have the tiniest amount of ink on it. In fact, back here we can actually do a little bit of hatching. There we go. And then we'll see here, we'll bring these lines out from the shadows. Let's see. dig this one in. There's the music. Processing.
Yeah.
Should I turn something on?
Huh?
How long does processing take?
About right now.
About right now. Dem Pewters is fast these days. Faster than my 486. Damn, that's awesome. And dark.
It'll be better with it.
I like it. So we'll really get in here. And for this back one, since it is set back, we can take the hatching all the way up, you know. 486. Yeah, I didn't know how many people knew what a 486 was. I worked at Walmart when I was a teenager, and right when those came out. I remember my buddy coming in. He's like, "Yeah, dude, those new 486s that are coming out next year, game changer." I'm like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Come on, they're not going to be that fast." I'm gonna turn this sideways. I'm gonna. Oh yeah. In our 15.5 modem. There we go. Just had to get the right angle on that snail there. The Ink Skull, thanks for the follow. Nice work. Awesome, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for popping in. Just working on I don't know what the hell to call it. Little devil with some slugs. But yeah, appreciate the follow, and be working on this for a little bit longer. I'm not quite ready to stop. Getting funky with some line work here. My favorite thing to do. I could do line work for hours. Totally put me in a trance. I'm just like, yeah, it's working. Yeah, this piece I started streaming about a month ago. We did a Hunter S. Thompson with a bat bourbon barrel for the same festival. I'm doing a couple pieces for a bourbon festival I'm going to be at in September. And then we did a honey hatter for a new dab mat I have coming out, and then a series of World War II vehicles that were animalized. So a Higgins landing craft I made into a whale, machine gun mosquitoes. So now I'm just doing something dark and kind of heavy metal, and you know, unique, fresh, weird, but I don't really have to think about it. There we go. Bring those lines around. It's an awesome arty farty community on here. Oh yeah, there is. Definitely. Yeah, I've met some really cool other artists, and I love jumping in on their streams and heckling the shit out of them, and and of course giving them props for some good art. So. There we go. And especially the international crowd. There's you know, it's really cool to see a bunch of. I follow a few Australian artists, and this girl from New Zealand that's really good. Stuff I probably normally wouldn't see on a day-to-day basis, unless I'm scouring the internet specifically for new artists in a certain region. You're a Kiwi. All right, there you go. Yeah, especially the late night, you know. I mean, for you guys, it's what, the next day? Yeah, I did a month-long art tour in Australia 2 years ago. Absolutely loved it down there. Haven't been in New Zealand. Another Kiwi painter pulled me on here. Oh, cool. Is it the girl doing all the watercolors of animals? Forgot her name. Starts with an S. 6-7 p.m. Wednesday, exactly. I know when I was on tour, I had to set like my clocks and make sure I had reminders set as to when I could call back home to talk to my wife and kids, because I was like, oh shit, they're in bed. But absolutely wonderful experience down there, and I got to do a really cool art battle called Scribble Slam, and battled against another graffiti artist, and a graffiti artist, not another one. I'm not one, but yeah, it was cool. Live painted at a few nightclubs, drank a ton of beer every day, even in the morning. Learned what a cheeky beer was, which is like what to call a beer to make it sound not like you're an alcoholic and can drink. Yeah, Sanjana. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I just connected with her stream about a week ago or so. It's cool. Her stuff is amazing. That's cool. See, small world. Yeah, I really like her technique. Her the vibrancy she gets out of that watercolors is insane. That's one reason I stayed away from watercolor, was I just couldn't achieve a certain vibrancy that I was looking for. But she has a style that really pulls it out of using that medium. They must be. And that's still the Doc Martens, right? Dr. Martens, I know she's using those watercolor inks, which I know they used to color comic books with those back in the day. And I used to wear Doc Martens, so that's how I know about the paint. I know it's not the same company, but somebody mentioned that to me when I was, oh, you must use Doc Martens. I'm like, what? There we go. Maybe we'll do a little bit more line work on his tummy, and then that'll kind of give that separation between the top of the snail and the bottom, where yeah. I miss ducks. I could just go out and buy a pair, but it's fun to just miss them. I think my first docks I ever bought were shoes, was just big old 22i shit stompers. I think I was going to my first 9 Inch Nails concert. I'm like, I need big boots. And they did the job. And then we'll do some nice cross hatching here, where it kind of tucks up underneath his, we're going to call it his throat, next to his eye stalks. Yeah, they are, man. Yeah, I'm pretty, I've been expanding my shoe taste lately. I'm an Adidas. I like Docs. I like Adidas. There we go. I'm trying to get Adidas to sponsor my art. I'm tired of buying shoes. It's like how I go after sponsorships. I'm like, what am I tired of buying? How can I work them into the art world? There we go. So we got one, the line work that just kind of twists and turns. It really brings that snail, to life. And then we'll juice them up with some white highlights later on. Yes, I do. Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. until whenever, California Pacific time. So 7 p.m. or whatever your time, or 7 a.m. The game, dude, got to crash. This looks awesome. You're badass. Been a great chat with you. Thanks for sharing your awesome talent and singing music, dude. Same to your music, dude. Cool, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging. And you know when I'm on now. So, like I said, I won't be on tomorrow because it is 4th of July, and we're gonna have a barbecue, or I might get on afterwards, and I'll be completely smashed, and it might be kind of funny. But don't expect me on tomorrow. But I will be back Thursday to finish this painting if I don't finish it tonight, which I probably won't. And then I'm gonna try and switch up, maybe throwing in a weekend stream or whatnot. But yeah, definitely. And good chatting, man. Yeah, grab those paints. Get back into the art. Let's get you on here. This track is sounding awesome. So for those who just joined, this is Sugar behind me, my YouTube channel, and on my website, SeanDietrichArt.com, as well as, I think on my feed, I've uploaded all the time lapses that I've done so far. But he writes all the music for it. This guy's been DJing and producing music for over 25 years, and we've been working together for about 15. So he basically helps run my day-to-day, operations of the company, and then produces all the music for my time lapses. So everything you hear is custom. All the music on the time lapse. Usually, if I'm playing some tunes, it's one of his many projects that he works on. Black Sheep Headquarters, Llama A, Reich and Funk, which is our music project where he writes the music. I help kind of come up with the story, and then we do a lot of. Eventually, it'll be a live stage performance. So I'll have a huge canvas. We'll have a bunch of other screens or maybe projectors that'll kind of tell the story of this guy that we've come up with, and then I'll be doing live art, and he'll be running the Victrola, playing the music. So not only do I sit around, paint on canvas in my drawing table, I've live painted at over 5,000 events in my, or 4,500. I don't know. I stopped counting. But I love painting live in front of an audience. So if you catch me at any of the rock shows that I'm at, I will generally be doing some live art. So, and on a much larger scale. So I think it's a great way to introduce people to the process, and because you always go to a museum and you're like, man, how did he paint that? Well, that guy's dead. He's not going to show you. But I'm alive, and I can show you how I do my art. So that's why I like the Twitch thing. I've been having a blast. And we'll do. Eventually, we've been kicking around an idea. I got these two 32-foot walls that need to be muraled. So, like on a Friday and Saturday night, maybe we'll do like just like a studio party and get him on some decks so he can DJ, and then I'll just live paint the mural on the wall. And then all you need to do is provide people and booze and a big screen TV and turn it on and crank it up, and we'll provide the entertainment. We're always coming up with crazy shit. Everyone is awesome. I got put on the walnut ink and I couldn't find any here, so I made my own. That's awesome. Yeah, man, if you can't find something. Yeah, now that I have space to work, I just built a new 1,300 square foot studio for myself to work in, and I can expand a little, and I have like 3 bays. One where I can do woodworking and polystyrene sculpture and get kind of dirty and have shit flying around, and then my main studio here where I just do my painting and whatnot, and streaming and photography and product photography and all that. So, like that box back there, you open that up, there's an LED screen, and Yeah, dude, 6 months ago I was painting at the dining room table in my house, and I'm like, it was convenient to bug me, which I didn't like, so I didn't get a lot of work done, um, and before that, yeah, this is the most space I've ever had, so it's been a joy, and it's been a long time coming, and God damn it, I earned it. Many, many years, so, yeah, but it's nice to be able to spread my wings a little bit. Which just means it's nice to have desk space where I can spread all my crap, and my garbage isn't just in one pile, you know? So I've had to watch myself as far as, oh, I gotta put that away. You know. One PBR beer pyramid is enough. I don't need 17 around the room. Alright. And then we'll add a little, yeah, just some little lumps there. Maybe he's kind of, as he curves, it's a little bit of texture there, a little action. So the next thing is my favorite. All right, let's. Oop, hang on one second. I'm gonna go check that. Oh, never mind. Oh shit. Yeah, that's awesome. Somebody really sure that. Oh, I like the tones. Yeah. That's incredible. Is that one of them, was it the Egyptian, like hairless cats, or am I completely wrong on what kind of animal that is? I love the fold. That's a cool subject, because as opposed to fur, you're working with like the folds of the skin and the animal. Oh, just lost my feed. What is that? Decoding error. A Sphinx cat. Yeah, those are awesome. I love the eyes. I like that muted kind of green you put in there. If that is a green, it's really cool. Yeah, I painted with coffee a couple times. I used to stain paintings, do sepia paintings, stuff like that with coffee. Coffee is great to work with, and you know, I'd put like a thickening agent in it sometimes. I mean, it was so watery. My buddy made a candle once by just running coffee repeatedly, the same coffee through the same filter over and over again for like hours. He was on acid at the time, but put some hatching in there. Alright, so let's bring some of these lines over, and in fact I want to make them a little thicker. I did one painting where my cover to my comic book, the next issue was due, and I completely forgot my paints at my girlfriend at the time's house, and so my buddy and I are just looking around like, what do I use? And he's like, well, look in the kitchen. There's lots of liquidy, painty type things. So I did a whole cover out of spaghetti sauce and coffee grounds. And it worked. But the print shop wasn't happy. I went in and I was like, do you have Windex and paper towels? They're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I gotta scan this thing, and there's gonna be coffee grounds all over your shit. But this guy was super cool, so he was like, yeah, dude, I just, you know, he's one of them guys that was he was just super happy I was young and producing my own comic and finally got my first pro gig, and he's like, go ahead, fuck up the machine. And it was just a glass, but yeah, sometimes it's cool when you get kind of stuck or whatever, you're like, maybe I'll try painting with a little ragu and some Sanka. You know? Yes. Get that ink off that brush. It does not want to go. Am I on? Okay. I mentioned it earlier. Sometimes when I'm zoomed in, I forget to look where I'm painting, and I sit there and paint off camera for like 5 minutes. People are probably like, what a jerk. He wants to stream his art and then hides it. There we go. That in. There we go. Yeah, right. You stream, I assume. I can add you and follow and all that good stuff. Whoops. Bring that around. Okay. Around work, yeah, for sure. Cool. Yeah, I'll adjust my schedule. I mean, right now I'm going pretty hard at it, 5 nights a week, and but I'm definitely using it to produce, and try and get a lot of artwork out there. I have a whole line of products I'm working on that are getting released right now, and I need to keep up with that. And then also with the shows coming up, I need to come up with a pretty large catalog, and this has really helped with kind of keeping the discipline, making sure that I am getting a solid 3-4 hours, whatnot. Oh, web developer by day. Cool. Sugar does some of that as well. The guy behind me making all the machine noise. With a beat. Definitely respect web developers because I don't do it. I can't do it. I don't want to do it, but I like selling my art on my website, and that requires someone to set it up. Yeah.
I just recorded like that whole thing that I just did.
Yeah. There's another snail, a little bit darker on the belly and whatnot, but he's kind of tucked up underneath there. So we're gonna hop over to this dude. This dude. Yeah. Dude. It's bloody time intensive. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I like painting and I like doing the detail work, but there's not a lot of other things in life that I find I have the patience for. Pizza. I do have the patience for pizza.
You have patience for pizza?
I do. But that's like the oven's doing all the work. Bad example. Yes, we are retarded. This guy didn't have a lot of initial lines to start with, so we're gonna have to carve this snail out. There we go. Just hatch the bottom here. Okay, and then we'll get a nice solid line on this Venus flytrap. We'll put all those little fuzzy grabber things on the Venus flytrap at the very end. That'll be one of the last things but I didn't forget about it. There's certain textural things, there's just no point in putting them on in the beginning. This will get covered up with paint or go. These are 16 by 20 inch. I don't know what the centimeter conversion is, but you can kind of see like how big head me painting. 5 hours to, let's say, really quick. This was about 5 hours, 6 hours of streaming for the MG42 Mosquito one. On up to like 9 hours. You know, nothing crazy, but you know. Usually pretty quick. I mean, this is my 4th week streaming, and I've completed. This is my MG42. I have 3 of the animal. This is my 6th painting this is my 3rd day of my 4th week, so kind of gives you an idea. So, and yeah, it depends on the painting and how much detail or how much. A lot of the ones with the vehicles get a little more tedious because there's a lot more mechanical things to pay attention to, but the ones I did this week with vehicles were all animalized, so there wasn't, you know, a lot of them. But I have done, I mean, there's, I'll have to get a web camera I can turn around, but I have a 9-foot by 4-foot U-boat painting with 2 mermaids hanging above me here, and that's got 120 hours in it when I painted it. So I will do some studio pieces. And I normally work 3 feet by 4 feet or bigger, pretty fairly large size. But I've been wanting to crank out a lot of paintings lately, so these have been a lot nicer to work on, more manageable size, a lot quicker to accomplish. And over the last year, up until the magazine went quarterly, I was doing monthly covers for a smoke shop business-to-business magazine, and I had to do the covers monthly, and usually it would they wouldn't give me much of a deadline before I knew what the subject matter or the interview was or whatnot. So, and I'm not really good with deadlines as far as like if you give me I'm like Frank Frazetta. He was the same way. Give me a month to do something, I'll do it the night before. I work better under pressure like that, and I think what I produce is going to be. That's why I like the streaming thing. It's like I'm here, people are watching. I'm not gonna fuck around. So yeah, Hunter's one of my favorites. I don't know if I've read all those books, but quite a few. And Louisville, Kentucky is his birthplace, and that's where this festival's at. So I wanted to do a bourbon-based Hunter S. Thompson piece for that festival. So yeah, working. Deadlines are just like, all right. A deadline just lets me know the maximum amount of time I can hold off until I do your work, you know. Not that I don't feel good if I get it done early. I mean, it's kind of cool to be like, yeah, I got that out of the way. But, you know, sometimes I really like working under pressure. That's why I live paint in front of people. I mean, I can paint live in front of 30,000 people, and I think it's fun. I think it's relaxing. I think it's, I love the benefits of just knowing I'm showing people a process, and there's always some artists in the crowd that are, gives them a little jump. Like, damn, I gotta do, get out there and do your shit, Yeah, Stedman's work is amazing. I just went to the, I don't know where my goodie bag is, the Flying Dog Brewery. He does all the beer labels for the brewery, and they happen to have moved that brewery to within about a 40-minute drive from my aunt's house in Maryland. So we took the brewery to our last time I was on tour out there, and they had some of Stedman's art on the walls, and yeah, his stuff. He's a monster. He is amazing. In fact, when I did my very first Fear and Loathing piece, like 12 years ago maybe, I wrote to Ralph Steadman's webmaster because I was like, that guy probably knows him personally. So see the importance of web developers. And he actually got the piece to Ralph, and Ralph said, keep it up, and enjoyed it. So I thought that was very cool, and it's really nice to connect with people instead of doing the solitary painting thing. Oh yeah, so it's amazing. The labels are awesome, and he's in his 90s now. I mean, and the guy's just still killing it. And I'm like, that's awesome. And I fully intend that to be me one day. I ain't looking forward to being in my 90s, but I don't want to stop working. Yeah, still producing. He's still lucid. I mean, it was only a couple of years ago they did that. Johnny Depp did that documentary for no good reason. So, and that was amazing documentary. I mean, he was, it's cool to see his process, how they time lapsed and animated a few of his drawings. That was cool. Brought Fear and Loathing, some of the animated pages. Yeah, it's funny. I actually became a fan of Stedman after I started doing a lot of ink work that was kind of like his. Someone had mentioned, it was funny, someone's like, oh, your stuff reminds me a lot of Ralph Steadman, and I'm like, who? And they're like, oh, you'd have to be a fan of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas or Hunter Thompson to know who it is. And I'm like, I love Hunter Thompson. I've read a lot of his books. And they're like, well, how do you not know the art? At that point, I had never read a book that had Stedman's art in it. So I was like, what do you mean? I know Fear and Loathing, or I hadn't read Fear and Loathing maybe. I know Hunter Thompson, and I was like, I have no clue what you're talking about. So it was one of those moments where I was like, oh, and then I looked up Fear and Loathing, and I finally read the book, and I saw the art, and I was like, holy shit. Like, it was like one of those reverse inspiration times. Like, little did I know, I was already influenced by the guy, and I didn't know who the hell he was. Right. Yeah, I've got a few, what is it, Garibaldi's Biscuits or whatever. I bought that for my kid. I just thought it was a really cool kid's book to read. And I haven't picked up his Alice yet. I know he did an Alice in Wonderland, or I Michelangelo, right? Michelangelo. Chris Grimley, yeah. Yep. You know what? I remember when he first started in comics and was running around San Diego Comic-Con, I used to have one of the original stickers he was handing out. And his stuff's really wild, really cool. Yeah, I lived in San Diego for about 15 years, so one of the perks was I was close enough. I could easily get into San Diego Comic-Con. So this year is actually my first year in 18 years. I don't have a booth or I'm not involved in some way. So, but I have so much work going on with these rock shows. And I live in Washington State now. It's about 1,500 miles away. So it's a little more traveling and a little more stress on the schedule if I were to actually go down to San Diego. So, but I don't mind. Take a break. You have no Comic-Con there? Yeah, you'd figured, I would think, because they got 4 in Australia. They got the OzCons. Surprised they don't hop over to New Zealand and do one. Because when I was down there on tour, I had a booth at the Sydney and the Brisbane. I spent three weeks in Brisbane and a week in Sydney. And I did 2 of the Comic-Cons there. They were fun. it's just nice to expand my, obviously my international crowd, but just kind of see, dude, the booths they give you are unbelievable. I'm like, could you guys call America and say, hey, start setting the booths up like this? Like full on, like art show caliber walls, lighting, signage. Yeah, I guess, well, you guys are kind of isolated. Yeah, the booth costs are ridiculous, and I try and work deals with everybody, and that was another reason with like I work directly with the promoters for the rock shows, and I get a special deal on booths, or I got my own thing going, but um, yeah, I mean the rock shows is about $3,000 per booth, and you can pay upwards of 3 to 5 to 6,000 for a booth, um, at a Comic Con. But what I make in 2 hours at a rock show is a day at a Comic Con, or 4 days at San Diego sometimes. I mean, so that's why I kind of had to eliminate the Comic Cons, even though I really like being at them because of just the pop culture aspect. So, Journeyman, what's up, dude? Demons and Bourbon does sound great, doesn't it? There you go. Let me flip it over the right way, and why don't we zoom back out a little bit so we can see most of it. So yeah, just kind of, I don't know. You know what it's like being weird, dude, and just putting weird shit together. So I don't think I have to explain this to you. What bourbon? You know what? This is for a festival called Bourbon and Beyond. There are 29 bourbon companies at this festival. So the Hunter S. Thompson one I did. Hang on one second. I got that right here. So the Hunter S. Thompson one, that's Wild Turkey. That was Thompson's favorite bourbon. So, and I couldn't use the Wild Turkey logo, so I did the turkeys with the question marks, like, in their eyeballs, and did one of the barrels as a bat. So Hunter's just kind of like, give me the bourbon. And so I took, indicated that it was Wild Turkey. But yeah. So no specific bourbon. This could be any bourbon. This is Johnny Bourbon. I don't know. Did a beer label once called Cock and Balls. Nice. Oh, let me allow that comment. Was that really? I didn't know I had a filter like that. It's like, that comment needs to be reviewed. I'm like, no, it doesn't. Like, as long as it isn't racist, you guys can say whatever the fuck you want on here. Like, I've been on Journeyman's site. There isn't an F-bomb or an S-bomb or whatever bomb that hasn't been dropped. And that's the magic of his stream. But yeah, so it's he's just kind of this suicidal, maybe just self-destructive. He's having a good time, but he's drinking his own inside, so whatever. And these slugs, I like drawing slugs. But yeah, I got this one, and then I have another one for well, we'll use this one more for Louder Than Life. So it's 2 shows in Louisville in September that are back-to-back weekends. Same promoter. Hopefully this year I get the same spot. That way I can just set up once and then just leave it there for the week and go hang out in Louisville, and then come back and do the next show. JMS streams are awesome. Is the dude for me on the Walnut Ink. Oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, once you find a good ink, it's like, like the Holbein I use for the black. This is the most amazing black ink I've ever used. And, like I said, every time that I met the rep at San Diego Comic-Con, and every time that guy came by, each subsequent year, I'd be like, yo, dump the bag out. I want all the samples. I know you got those little 1-ounce sample jars. I want them all. Yeah. And I like being at Comic-Cons, but, like right now, my first publisher James Taylor, not the musician. He was an inker for Penny Farthing and a few others, but he throws one in Tacoma. So I do the Jet City Comic Con in November, which is maybe 5,000-6,000 people. It's a one-day show, but it's right down the road for me. So that I can do. But San Diego anymore, with how disorganized everything is, and just the clusterfuck of everybody's there for media guests as opposed to like art. It's definitely changed over the years. And how you can't get a ticket. I mean, I probably would do better numbers if I knew that my collectors could actually get in the door, but there's a lottery system now. I think this year there's actually a lottery system for parking. Like, you can't just advance buy it. They're going to throw a lottery in order to let people win parking or win the ability to pay for parking. Great prize. Yeah, I've got some Fang Ling Lee, she's an artist at my printer. He does all her print work and mine and a few other, about 30 other artists or whatnot. But she does a bunch of the adult cons. I know my buddy Vincent had kind of kicked around doing some of the like porno conventions and whatnot, and just doing some erotic art, and because that's what it is. It's all about getting into these niche areas. I'm one of the only guys. There's me and one other artist at these rock shows, and there's 150,000 people. And that's why I jumped on the chance and hooked up with the promoter and wrote out this big proposal and said, hey, I want to start curating artists for this, rock show. I don't necessarily think there needs to be 1,500 artists selling art here, but I could actually get you some really good artists, and then you provide them. Because one of the things with the Comic Cons is like just the overkill of artists, and you don't make any money. But if I have, every year I pick 3 to 4 artists that come in and we provide them with a booth, and you just take a percentage of sales. They don't have to come up with a lot of, booth fee money and all that, and then they can actually make a livable, income off this shit. Yeah, you're the only... Exactly. You're the only artist at FetishCon. Guess whose art they're buying? Yeah, I mean, and looking into different, different stuff like that. Like, I got into the cannabis industry early, and now I do a hell of a lot with that. I mean, and that's wide open right now. I mean, Canada's set to legalize in October, the entire country. I mean, I live in Washington where it's already legal, so I live in the Emerald City. But the whole cannabis industry is, that's why I like my manufacturing. That's one of the little thing we're celebrating tonight. This is one of my new dab mats. I have about 15 other products, but we just moved 1,400 units today. Very first doors are open. Happy July 3rd. So I have a whole manufacturing and distribution part of my company now. So, and the idea and kind of the end game for me is eventually I want to turn my studio into an agency, and I want to start producing products. I want to bring artists in and just say, hey, look, sign with me. Here's what you're going to get. We can send you on tour. If you just want to sit around and make products and sell stuff, we can put it out there and manufacture but I don't have to take a huge percentage like a licensing company. They pay you 12-15%. I get 25 to 50%, depending how I sell. So I can offer an artist a much bigger percentage, because I'm already making my money. Yeah, exactly. No, that's a good point. The thing artists don't understand is you don't have to do tons of nudes and fetish art to appeal to the people in these niches. They pay. Exactly, like when I was my 15 years in San Diego, I can't tell you how many artists still to this day paint fucking waves and seashores, and it's like, dude, you live by the beach. For fuck's sake, open a window. Like, you don't have to paint that shit because you think that that's all that's gonna sell. I've painted demons in bourbon in San Diego, and I have a very big client there that spent a lot of money that's very much into bourbon, and demons, and probably has a bunch of demons of his own, like, I always thought that just creeped me out. Like, if you're Robinson Crusoe and you're kind of living off the land, like, okay, I got bowls that look like seashells and shit, that's great. But if I'm living on the beach and my whole house is decked out with beach scenes, that's like an episode of The Twilight Zone. It's like, I'm in the beach scene, and I open my door, and there's the beach scene. It's like a Bob Ross nightmare. You know, I don't I expect, like, what's the guy from The Twilight Zone? You know, you've entered a world. You know, like, to be standing there to tell me what a weirdo I am. I don't know, but yeah. What? No, it's not Ray Bradbury. It's someone will know it. He wrote most of the episodes too. If I see one more painting of white chairs on the beach with Coronas, exactly. First of all, you're gonna bombard me with a shit painting, and then you're gonna put shit beer in it. You know, like, not that I'm a connoisseur of fine beers tonight. But I know what you're saying. Yeah, like those extreme minimalist paintings where it's just like, you know, white sand beach, one chair, or this one's called Umbrella at a Distance. You know, like, put some blood on that umbrella, or the beach ball's deflated, or, you know, give me a story, you know. Yeah, I saw that. I laughed at that. I did. I was like, I'm like, where's this motherfucker getting his art?
Fucking stolen off of Google.
Yeah, Google Images. Yeah, there's I don't know, but that's awesome, Journeyman. I mean, you found a niche. I mean, and there's so many of these conventions. I mean, we've talked about going to, like, social media marketing world and saying, you know what, I want to live paint here because then I'm surrounded by all these business people that I could probably, like, trade art for mentorship or whatnot. So I'm always looking at different conventions that might not even need or have anything to do with art, but everyone likes it. I mean, takes all kinds, you know, that like art. So if I can find conventions that maybe it's a risk to be there as far as whether I'll sell art or not, maybe the clientele, I'll be able to get something out of it that'll help my business. You know, go to accounting world, and there you go. Now you can trade art with the tax guy that's going to help you with write-offs you didn't even know existed. But I'm always trying to, you know, look at different scenarios like that and say there's got to be something I can get out of this that won't make it a complete waste of time, you know. Yeah, I know one guy in San Diego, and nice, you know, nicest guy ever, but he paints waves. Like, that's it. Like, you're getting a wave if you buy a piece of art from him. You're not getting calm water. You're not getting a dude on a surfboard. You're not getting kind of a wave. You're getting a big fucking curled over wave with a lot of colors, and I just, you know, for me, I can't stand. Like, I'm not going to paint 50 devil paintings. Like, I'll get sick of the devil. You know, I need subject matter to change. I need to paint Hunter S. Thompson, you know, and then I need to jump to a mosquito with a machine gun for a head. I need to be all over the place. I can't stick with the same, you know, same subject matter. I don't know. There's my impatience again, but. But there's just so much cool shit to paint, you know. Yeah, and with you do a lot of the Dungeons and Dragons stuff. It's like, you know, people are going to use that, and I think that's awesome. You do a bunch of mods, right? That's if I'm correct on that, like stuff people are actually going to like buy and use in a campaign. And that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. God, I haven't played D&D for so long. Let's see if I can remember this. Okay, I'm going to nerd out for you right now. High school. I was a Thri-Kreen in the Forgotten Realms. Ta-da! There's my D&D history. And basically, it was like the kid who had his parents were divorced, so his house was where we would party, and that's how I got. He just had a bunch of friends that were into it, and I was like, dude, yeah, I'll kick around and play, and I heckled the shit out of people and came up with all these like they stop asking so many fucking questions. And I'm like, but it's fun, That's going to take me a minute to figure out. Wild Clean Eats Eye. All right. Thank you for the follow. I destroyed that name, but appreciate you popping in and checking out the art and following. And I hope I make all your wildest dreams come true. Welcome to Pedro's Art Hour. How old am I? I will be 42 in August 20th. So 41 right now. And I like it. Most people don't like their age. I like being in my 40s. I like the older I get, and if I can stay that obnoxious, I feel like it makes me younger. Maybe that's some backwards thinking, I don't know, but but when I hit 40 last year, I was like, man, this is kind of taboo, Nice works. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, I got the image slideshow that'll show you some of the work, and then Sean Dietrich Art will have, my bigger library, and then Instagram. It's got a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, so a little bit of time lapses. The music you hear in the background, I think Sugar's smoking some weed right now or something, but this is the guy who does all my music production, so all the time lapses that are on my YouTube, my website, and I think on my Twitch, I uploaded all of them on my channel info. But he writes all the music for it, and he's done a bunch of side projects. And in fact, back in the 90s, Sonic Youth opened for him at one show. That was a nice little claim to fame. But yeah, he's got various projects, and he helps run my day-to-day, business. Handles a lot of the grunt work and organizing and getting all this new wholesale division we opened. Getting all that organized, and then writes music as well. So I like working with talented people, even if it is 43. So yeah, definitely the same generation, man, for sure. Yeah, I graduated in '94, and Sonic Youth is the shit. I can't believe the Jesus and Mary chain are touring with 9 Inch Nails right now. I get to see them in September. I was like, I didn't even know Jesus and Mary chain were still around, but that's going to be a great show. 9 Inch Nails was my second concert ever. Pink Floyd was my first. Division Bell tour. I didn't get to see them with Waters or anything, but a funny 9 Inch Nails story. So when I was 14, I got a copy of Pretty Hate Machine, the first 9 Inch Nails album. My buddy gave it to me, dubbed on a tape. Google that if you're too young to know what that is. And he's like, put this in, it'll change your life. And I'm like, okay. So I listened to it, and I'm like, holy shit. And up until that time, it was like Casey's Top 40, and I didn't really have a genre of music, I think my buddy had given me a couple Public Image Limited albums and, whatnot. But I wasn't, like, really heavy into, like, industrial music as I got into and whatnot. But I remember listening to it, loved it, saw the Pretty Hate Machine, had, like, a whole video, was like, man, I want to draw like that video looks like. And then just kind of went from there, and I've seen 9 Inch Nails probably 14 times and whatnot. So last year I had the opportunity at the rock shows. I helped deck out the green room. So for when the rock bands come in, they walk into the green room. There's a bunch of my rolling trays and rolling papers, and I put a bunch of art books out and whatnot. And then for the art books, I asked, normally I don't give a shit. I don't want to meet these celebrities. I don't care if they want to come to the booth and check out the art. That's fine. I'm a professional, they're a professional, I just like to show appreciation, and maybe if my artwork's sitting in their dressing room and they need art for an album cover, I'll just be that closest phone call to make. But for Trent, I was like, I got to get something directly to him. So my buddy Andy, who handles the backstage, he, basically I said, can I get a book directly to Trent? And he's like, yeah, I think I can do that. I got to run it by the manager, of course, but I'll show it to him. I said, yeah, sure. So I wrote, been giving you my money since '89. Thanks for the music, every penny worth it, Sean. You know, something simple and kind of cheeky. And so they took it back, and the manager approved it, gave it right to Trent, and he read it, and he was just like, oh, it's kind of funny. You know, he laughed and whatnot. And then when he got up on stage, he was like, hey, I was reminded earlier that we've been doing this for like 65 years, and Andy had said that that was a reference to the what I wrote in the book. So it was kind of cool to have that little connection, you know, and something, I mean, that's the only band I've ever followed for that long. So you went to school with Marilyn Manson? No shit. It's freaking awesome. Yeah, that was the first time I saw Nine Inch Nails. It was when Manson first went out with them on the Smells Like Children album. I think they were promoting when Trent first, you know, I don't want to say discovered, but took them under his wing. And we didn't quite know what to think of it. Because, like, back then, there was a very big line between industrial kids, between the rivet heads and the goths. And we thought Manson was a little gothy, and he was out there in knee-high socks and all skinny and being weird, and we're like, So it was kind of funny. I remember that very, very vividly, that concert. So, right. So we're going to go ahead and drop some ink around the eyes. Yeah, and then from there I got into all sorts of weird shit. Throbbing Gristle, Psychic TV, Cabaret Voltaire, Neubauten, all the old industrial guys. We actually just saw the Wax Trax documentary at the Seattle Film Fest. And Paul Barker, the bass player for Ministry, Bill Rieflin, the drummer for Ministry, and Patty Jurgensen were all there. So, Coil. I have all 62 out of print Coil albums, or 64. Definitely. Love it. Yeah, I grew up in that scene, man. I've live painted at fetish clubs in LA and all that shit. You know, grew up in that scene. Dealt with a lot of producing artwork for a lot of the big fetish and industrial clubs in LA and San Diego, and got to interview Sasha from KMFDM for an article. That's cool. Yeah, I figured you might be in it. You got Typo Negative on your playlist, man. I know you're into that. got to bring up the Pete Steele. I love putting that shit on and just rolling down the windows and driving through town. People are like, "What the fuck is that? What is that guy on?" All right, we got some snails. Yeah, sad that he's gone. Yeah, and I still mainly listen to music from that. You know, there's very rare will I find new shit that I like. I think maybe The Antwoord was the last band that I got into, and strictly for their creative side. Like, I'm not like, hey, I'm into rap rave now, or you know, but just how creative their videos were, I can deal with that. So, yeah, no, they can't. You know, well, it's funny. Like, my wife always loves introducing people to my music by like, oh, he listens to machine noises, because I put some Coil on and stuff like that, and in the car while driving, and she's like, yeah, this shit has to go. She can deal with it. She likes more of the mainstream, you know, of course. She did take me to see Rammstein in Ministry on my 40th birthday and really liked it, so. And it was cool to introduce her to Ministry, you know, live, because I could literally point to that, you know, Al Jurgensen and be like, hey, see that guy up there? Every band from 1984 that's into this shit owes that guy his career, or their career, so. So it was cool. Yeah, machine noises, for sure. I absolutely love it. I just, you know, a lot of it's so rhythmic too, and even if it is just a machine noise, like, I love putting it on and just painting to it, because it sets a pace, you know. It's like various metronomes of the industrial age. You know, love Throko Cult. Love the funky stuff too. Definitely one of my top bands. This would definitely make a good Throko Cult album cover. just weird enough, has the devil, they would be into it, I'm sure. There we go. I think I'm going to put a little detail in the hat, and I might call it a night. What is it? It's only 1 a.m., but I want to come back and have something, because I know I'm probably going to get smashed at the barbecue tomorrow, so I want to make sure that Thursday I don't have to wake up and be like, oh, fuck, I got to come up with something to paint. See, that's responsible. Godflesh is a stream killer. I can't put that shit on my playlist. Yeah, right? Yeah, there's certain music that, like, you know. And then there's certain stuff that I'll go to some people's streams and I really want to watch them paint, but I'm like, dude, you need to be on chill stream. Because that is, wow. It's almost like Sarah McLachlan snoozy. Or if it's completely silent, because the guy that's making banging techno behind you just gives up.
Well, you either stop for a second or crash the computer.
We'll crash the fucking computer. It's what the people want.
Real techno if you can't.
Right. It used to be very hard to paint to this because I just want to be like, you know, and throw shit and. But I'm older in my years now, and I can control that urge. Alrighty. I think I do want to throw. I want to throw some patches in this on this hat. Maybe at least one here on the corner and like that. Well, I don't know if that Mad Hatter just popped up, but I got that Hatter piece. Just something to add a bunch of. If I can add some textures. My hot pink pencil here. Don't tell the boys. This is like a 10-pack of pencils from the dollar store. Another fine art supply that I use. I go all out with my mechanical pencils. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, we can't have. There we go. All right. The PBR lunchbox of paint. If you don't have one, I recommend highly getting one. Highly recommend getting one. I don't even know if that sentence made sense. Let's grab a couple shades of orange and maybe a red. Yeah, that'll be enough. We can mix up some different colors. I don't need to get too crazy. And then into the China palette. How long have you been, I have a PBR belt buckle. Journeyman, how long have you been streaming on Twitch? You're like a couple of years? Or is this, I mean, you got a decent following. There's always like 30, 40 people minimum watching you. PBR belt buckle, hell yeah. Yeah, I've got the leather 6-pack holder. I have the Bill Murray golf shorts, which took me over a year to get. And then I did do a trucker hat. They used to, when PBR used to sponsor me, they would give me all those trucker hats, and I did one for Gene, the owner of PBR. I did like a 32 deuce coupe on it, and he wears that all the time. So, yeah, I love PBR swag, old mirrors, signs, all that stuff. So, 3 years, yeah, I'm like a month deep. You're like a way old veteran compared to me. Let's get, I'm not setting the Twitch world on fire. No, and that's the thing. I think, you know, I think we all know how to set the Twitch world on fire. You know. I mean, obviously it's more gaming-centric right now, but everybody's got some hokey fucking shtick that they try and, a lot of that shit works, man. I'm surprised some of these streams that I see where it's literally people, like, doing nothing. Or not nothing, but it's like, you know, give me cheers and bits and money and I'll sing a song. Or, like, who are you, Aretha Franklin? Like, why would I pay you to sing? Like, I don't know. Like, some of them really confuse me, you know? Or they'll jump up and down, or it's like, man, some people just seem like they're making fun of themselves. You know? Just making complete asses out of themselves for no apparent reason. I mean, but they're, man, I mean, 10,000 followers, and I'm like, okay, is this what the world's become? Yeah. Yeah, ugh. LOL.
I'm thinking this is going to be like the premise of the mosquito.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
42 mosquito time lapse will be like all like schizophrenic and shit.
And then put some, like, we could, you know, get the MG42 sample and throw a couple of...
Well, we have that.
The Wilhelm scream. Go in there with my thumb and finish that off. Damn right. Yeah, I think some of these patches. Just add a little bit more. It doesn't look like he has like a fucked up loaf of bread on his head. Now it's like a fucked up loaf of bread with an orange square and a darker orange square. We'll make it look good. Is this salmon? Oh yes, salmon. So yeah, that he's writing the music now for the MG42 Mosquito time lapse. So he'll take all this all the streams and pull all the footage, time lapse everything. I'm going to go into this red over here. I think I'm going to put the red there and then just blend it with my thumb. Like a real kind of faded patch maybe, or... There we go. Nice. Any of you guys done TwitchCon or get a booth or... have done it last year? I put in for a booth because I'm going to be on the road anyway, and it's like $250 for a 10x10. I'm like, that's fucking peanuts. We'll get it'll give me a chance to go hang out with my friends in the Bay Area. So yeah, I don't know what to expect, whether it's bullshit or not, or. Because they've already hit me up about like, oh, we had so many applications, but we're going to prioritize people that share a booth. And I'm like, share a booth? I'm like, you're only offering a 10x10, dude. I'm like, I do 10x20 and 20x20s at the rock shows. It's like, we don't get along. Love it. And I'm like, okay. Because I was wondering about that. I was like, well, what about experience? I was like, not to toot my own horn, but here's all the shit I've done, you know. Does this, do you take that into consideration? Because especially with the larger festivals that I deal with, you have to have at least half a dozen big festivals under your belt, you know, in order for them to even consider you. So you know, because it's no fucking joke setting up at a 150,000 person rock show. And the competition is pretty fierce to get that booth space, so, you know. Dave was saying the other day they're trying to squeeze three artists into one booth. See, that's bullshit. At that point, you know, they have to choose. It's like, don't try and be everyone's friend. Some of you are not going to fucking make it. And we want the ones that do to have the space to actually, you know, show off the product in the right light, show off the art in the right light, have room to work. I mean, because I'm like, well, I want to. If I'm there, I want to live paint. So no, I don't want to share. It is what it is. Sorry. Nah, no need to apologize, man. If that's what it is, then, thanks for the info. Like I said, I didn't know anything about it. I saw the app and was like, fuck it. Yeah. Yeah, because there are no, I don't know. I haven't been streaming enough or I haven't been exploring the other side of, the bigger people that make money on Twitch or Twitch celebrities or whatever you want to call them. So I don't know if they actually have any, A-list talent or any talent at all that actually shows up and, does, Robert Downey Jr. pop in every once in a while and switch it up, or are we talking the guy who played Pumpkinhead, as far as what they get, and which means that wouldn't translate well to a convention if they don't already have these existing relationships. So yeah, so and what's a Twitch celebrity? What kind of marketing power do they have? Staying power do they have in the realm of art? Or I watched this kid, one of the first times I hopped on during the daytime, I was like, I want to watch one of the kids that makes a fuck ton of money and he's a gamer and he's got 2 billion people watching him or whatever. I was like, the kid was sponsored by Gillette, not a hair on his face. I'm like, maybe he's growing hair elsewhere early. I don't know, but I was like, that's a very weird sponsor. It just had that feeling of this kid's just, obviously he's just taking the money, he likes gaming and whatnot, but when I choose the people that sponsor my tour, it pertains to what I do or what I'm into. I gotta give a shit about who sponsors me because I gotta talk about them all day, I'm friends with Killer Nen's work. I'm friends with him and do a lot of the same shit that's him. Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out. 5 pro artists. Yeah, I remember when I did my first tour, it was Identity Fest. We went on tour with Crystal Method and Steve Aoki, DJ Shadow. Those were the headliners. And I thought, I was in San Diego, which is a very conservative town. There's not a lot of art. The art's garbage. It's like I said, it's seashells. And there's not a lot of people doing live art. And I was so ready to get on the road and just I am going to meet so many cool artists out there that do live art and paint, and no one. I met a few artists, but nobody that was doing anything of any scale. It was still this kind of hide at home, and I'm like, oh, okay, So I'm all about if I can network with people that are actually doing shit. Or Journeyman, have streams that the crowd that watches is awesome. That chat gets down, Other than that, it's just a complete waste of time sometimes and a complete mystery as to why some of these people have a following. Because if it isn't their tits, half these people are not exhibiting anything. They're not contributing. They're not. There we go. Maybe a little doohickeys hanging off their hat. Yeah, much better. I like that better. And then maybe we'll go out of fucking control here and we'll make stripes. Anything with yeah. Cheers. Happy Wednesday. Happy Thursday to New Zealand. Carry those same stripes over. Alright. Big space like this just beckons for some skinny old lines. You have a pretty set schedule, Journeyman, or as far as when you stream? I remember when I first started coming on Twitch, I was like, this guy's like on all the time. What matters? Oh, I asked if you. I asked if you had a set schedule. Because like I said, I just remember you just being on all the time. I was like, is this guy like a robot? Yeah, that is one thing somebody told me early on. They're like, you have to have a set schedule, like, because there's people that are following so many people and they can count on you. I am a robot. I knew that was you in the, what is it, Roboter 1970 Kraftwerk video. Okay. Looks like the bottom part of that painting is almost finished. All right, I'm going to call it tonight. What am I at? A little over 4 hours? Yay! God, I was up till 5 a.m. this morning, just like, I have three major contracts I'm working on right now, negotiating. I'm like, ugh, and one of them's with a billionaire, so I'm like, okay, what do I want? How do I do this? I hate it when the business side just kind of like, really gets into your head. I mean, I was watching all this shit online, and I was just like, oh, God, I just want to paint. But I'm glad you stumbled across the stream, too, Ink Skull. So thanks for hanging out and whatnot. But, yeah, I'm going to call it tonight. We got the 4th tomorrow. That'll give me a nice chunk to finish on Thursday, so we'll drop in the bourbon barrel and the bone zone and the Venus flytraps and detail it out. And then Friday I'll figure something out, maybe just sketch something. So yeah, be safe, definitely. No drunk driving. Call that Uber. Awesome. Cool. Cheers, guys. I appreciate it. And happy 4th and happy Wednesday. And loving that PBR. I can't even put 3 letters together right now. I'm so tired. All right. See you guys. Bye.